dead from the DNA in a fragment of bone or mummified skin.
Our bodies and our minds will be fragmented.
Mujahideen grenade fragment is lodged in my hip to this day.
Smaller pieces and shell fragments this way.
Remember large fragments of what happened, but not all of it.
It's just fragments, this is. Much ado about nothing.
The small scenes, the fragments of the mirror, you remember those?
Path that leads to fragmentation and self-interest.
Everything mixed up, fragmented.
The fragments of matter you leave behind after each jump.
The living body of a person long dead from the DNA in a fragment of bone or mummified skin. We also wondered.
Our bodies and our minds will be fragmented into their smallest parts until...
Sorry to hear that.
Mujahideen grenade fragment is lodged in my hip to this day.
I wouldn't think ahead.
We're gonna get some smaller pieces and shell fragments this way, but we'll be okay if we're behind the Humvee.
I remember large fragments of what happened, but not all of it.
It's just fragments, this is. Much ado about nothing, with nothing underlined.
You didn't know where you were, but the small scenes, the fragments of the mirror, you remember those?
Vaguely.
What do you remember?
The path that leads to fragmentation and self-interest. Down that road.
Hang on to. Everything mixed up, fragmented. Can't tell daydream.
No.
The fragments of matter you leave behind after each jump, we can only repair so much.
She's unstable. The neural stripping does tend to fragment their own reality matrix.
The experience that happens, it could be some tiny moment, a fragment of a moment. And in some way, that's really what...
The murderer. We know this not only because of the fragment of a 1,000-franc note which we found clutched between her two.
I think we've got something, sir. The report is only a fragment from a probe droid in the HOTS system, but it
won't come back. 2 bullet fragments are still lodged there in the bony portion. One is very close to the carotid artery, and you'll have to...
Well, what'd you see?
You know, it was only a fragment of a brain, so really all I was able to get was like a series of images.
Even as this, the symbol of its oneness is broken into fragments.
Lightbringer, forged from a fragment of bone from the jaw of Yer himself.
Beautiful fragments are terrible dreams, like nods.
They'll drop one on the lower ledge and hope that the fragments get us inside. That's what I think.
Beautiful dripping fragment, a negligent list. Look at this.
sometimes subjects retain fragments or images that can be transmitted.
A fantasia. Only a few fragments of this once rich and beautiful world had been left by the nothing.
And the window had been broken near the catch. There was glass on the floor, and fragments were found outside. The glass...
Hey! Bullet fragments embedded in the medial and temporal occipital, probably corpus.
Now, the print people are just back. What did they find? All fragments were smudged. The place was clean.
Letting, subletting, subdividing, cheating, scamming, fragmenting, breaking away.
Who's got the keys to Telegraph Road?
I think he's still fragmented. I'm gonna run a diagnostic.
Evelyn.
Nothing good so far. Fragmentary prints, smudges, that's all.
Looks to me like a heavy case.
He has no memories then.
Only fragments. The procedure, it was interrupted. I guess it's only a matter of...
Any handgun. I've seen enough cop shows to know that.
Hollow points fragment on impact, Stuart. There's nothing to match.
Only there's no gun up there.
The initiative was ours, and the fragmentary but vital evidence of lemurs provides only the final proof in a long chain of indications.
Events, not so with the Japanese. Their emotions are stirred by some tiny fragment of life possessing the quality of beauty.
And so the face of the unknown killer, built up from fragments of evidence, was sent out all over the country.